Hey guys, welcome back to another adventure. Today we're going to explore a giant abandoned home on top of a river bluff. This was no doubt once owned by a slumlord who divided this into, how many do you think? Maybe 8 small apartments. At one point, Alton, Illinois had almost no building codes. There were houses still rented out and occupied with very old wiring from the 1920s. In addition, no exhaust fans in the restrooms to stop mold. There were no fire barriers in between garages and basements in the home. There were all kinds of rigged plumbing and sewage and drains that were broken and screw-in type fuses still into the 2000s. The last mayor enacted and adopted international housing codes and got an inspector, and every time an occupancy permit would change, they'd come in and inspect. In many of these homes, the money was not invested into bringing them up to code. And they started to become abandoned, and people tried to sell them, but they were not worth the investment and the money it would take to bring them up to modern building codes. Some of the homes had no central heating and air conditioning and still had registers and hot water pumps and a utility room in the basement with dirt floors and stone in the basement and timbers as supports. It's kind of a catch-22 situation. There were a lot of places in Alton where $400 would get you an apartment, sometimes including utilities in one of these homes, which is definitely good for those with a lower income or on disability. There's also a public bus system in this county that runs all through town, which is a pretty big service for a city of maybe 30,000 people. However, a lot of these landlords are out-of-state landlords, and maintenance is almost non-existent. I know somebody that lives in one of these big old homes today, and the family rents it and then sub-rents a couple of apartments, and the place is falling apart. You just wouldn't believe the crazy type of plumbing and sewage backups in the basement, and half of the house's electricity doesn't work, and they run extension cords into other rooms to supply power. The family's been renting the home since before these building codes were put into place, and the homeowner will not invest, or it's not profitable to. And so once those tenants leave, the home will most likely not be purchased, not be refurbished, and sit abandoned until eventually it gets broken into and the pipes get ripped out of the walls and the home is destroyed. It's a neat house on a corner of a main street that used to have a meat market or a grocery store in the basement. As you'll see towards the end of this video, there's a ton of empty lots with a stone wall and staircases going up to them all along the road this is on. As you drive around Alton, Illinois, you can imagine where all the homes used to be and what the buildings might have looked like. And part of our mission here is to preserve as many of them before they're no longer existent. Another neat thing is the town is it used to be a mecca for antique stores, and they had an antique district, an antique row, and on all side streets filled with old antique shops. Most of them are dead and closed down. A few remain. There are some success stories here, and there are some very beautiful homes.
I gotta tell you something. What? The lady just saw me from the neighbor's house. Oh. Standing on the porch. What was up there? There's a basement too.
Please let me know if you're enjoying this video. Leave me a comment. Please like and share on any social media platforms you may belong to. See, these videos are entertainment, but they're also part of a mission that I'm driven and obsessed with, to preserve as many locations in historic buildings as I can before they crumble. You may ask me why I don't film as many that are still intact, and that's a good question. I sometimes feel like there's so many things that are disappearing that I need to find them and document them before they're gone. I've wanted to come into this building for quite a while. I noticed the other day that it was open and ripped apart. One of the empty lots had a abandoned home on it that is somewhere in the channel. No, I'm not going to put it in the description. If you search my channel and look through all the places we filmed, you're sure to find many interesting things, and most likely, if you watch closely enough, you'll find another home that was located on this street.
Where's the basement? How do you get to the basement? I don't know.
I hope you're having a great Christmas. And
there's gotta be a stairway.
I'm grateful for my family. And my employment. And my friends. And my home.
I don't know.
I'm grateful for Andrew's friendship. Otherwise, I'd have to go through these buildings alone. So go over to Old and Fat Exploration and leave him a comment. let's encourage him to make some videos and continue to explore. That's an old power outlet. The other day when we drove by and noticed this building was open, there was a man I assume was homeless, sleeping on a big piece of concrete blocking a road off that used to be open. One of those pieces of concrete that kind of looks like a Lego block. This whole section of this street is almost devoid of homes. At some point I can imagine there being none left. Important pieces of people's lives and homes, and the chairs and couches that made them comfortable, and the coolers they took to work, maybe put a few drinks and went down to the river and went fishing, are all strewn across an overgrown,
We're actually along here.
Like 4.
leaf littered
You know, if we were exploring like 20 years
Lawn.
ago, dude, how many places we could have went to around here?
This is probably a really bad spot to be around. With all these bandos here.
Yeah. Probably, yeah.
It's like when the stone fell.
It's like when the stone fell out, they just patched it with brick. And there we are with the lonely slum apartment that sits on the hill. The video's almost over. I really hope you enjoyed this guided tour of another historic home in Alton, Illinois. Please like, subscribe, and share.